Hi everybody, my name is Eli.
I'm Jason.
I'm Caden.
I'm Jaden.
We're the YHWH and the Torah YouTube channel.
And we thank you guys very, very much for hanging out with us. Jade, who are we and what do we believe?
We are the people of Yahuwah. We are the children of Israel. We are the people who follow the laws, statutes, and commandments. It says if you want to be the children of Yahuwah, if you want to be grafted into the tribes of Israel, you need to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments. We also believe that our Messiah, people know him as Jesus. We believe his name to be Yehoshua or Yeshua because there's no J in Hebrew. He died, so we had a repentance sin. He became his lamb sacrifice so that we could use his blood as repentance. So we have a chance at eternal life.
Yeah. And, Cade, do we believe that Jade mentioned that, the laws, statutes, and commandments are what we stand by. How much in this house do we stand by them? How important are they to us and this house?
Well, the most important thing in our lives, the thing we have to live by, it's the rules we have to live with. They're the most important thing to us.
Yeah, and absolutely. And so let us get into the readings of Messiah Yahushua. For those who do not have not been following along with this is a tremendously good book. It is available. You can actually download this free of charge. Thanks to Adam from the Parable of the Vineyard. Huge props to him. And he's also doing another segment on this. And if you guys haven't watched anything with the Parable of the Vineyard, they do a very much more in-depth, detailed per chapter. So we're just trying to get through this. And if you would like a hard copy of this, I provided the hard copy link that you can get them from Amazon, and you can get them. It is a tremendous good book. I suggest if you have the ability to get this book and stick it on your bookshelf, then please do. I don't know exactly how expensive it is, but there's a softbound and then there's also a hardbound book, and it is definitely worth the investment if you guys can afford it. Okay. And for those who cannot, you can get the free PDF download. It is at the YahooandtheTorah.net website. And everything is all free as it should be. Chapter 13, let us begin. Yahushua and the 12 worked with the fishermen on ships, bringing goods from all parts of the world, even from the cities beyond. And during this time, he did not draw attention to himself. All right.
So that's what they did for work.
Yeah, so there you go. Right out of the gate, stuff we had never, ever heard before.
We always thought maybe they're wandering, they don't have jobs, they have no money. They're just like, they get something.
Yeah, who knows what these people do? And so here we have Messiah, our Messiah of the world, and he is out there working as a common laborer. And that's what it was all about, right? This is him being part of the human race. 2, then one day, while in part of Tyre called the place of Purple, he came upon 2 men in argument among several others. He said to them, "No disagreement can be settled justly by blows, while loud words confuse the issue. If your brother does wrong, reprove him quietly, but let it be between you 2 alone. If the matter cannot be settled between you, then seek 2 men acceptable to both, and let them decide the issue."
Well, that's the Torah.
Yeah, this is verse 3 on this is absolutely huge. And like a lot of our discussions, the fingers all point back to us, right? And I will say that when I view you guys from a outside standpoint, when you guys are having an argument, even when I am having an argument, it seems like things get very loud. People want to speak louder because they want to be heard. They don't want to. They're tired of it, right? And so when people get angry, the first thing that people do is raise their voice. And Messiah says right here, loud words confuse the issue. And we've heard that before, that a soft answer will turn away wrath, right? We've heard this before, and we know all these words. But around our house, we have a problem with this. And, guys, everyone else out there, if you think you're the only ones with any kind of issues, I only use us as an example because I have us as an example. But a tremendous amount of people have these same kind of issues in different ways. And so just because I use this as an example doesn't mean we're the beating dogs, other than I need an example. And so when we are in those actions, when we are in those heated debates and heated moments, this is when we need to have cooler heads. And the cooler heads will always prevail. But you have to get through. If somebody's coming at you and they're yelling at you, what is the first thing that you're going to do?
Angry, be upset.
You're going to yell back, right? Most people are not going to sit there. They're going to raise their voice. If somebody's coming at you, yelling and screaming, most people aren't going to be calm and collective and cool about it. And so this is where we need to be very, very cool. And then, like Cade said, this is the Torah. This is exactly the Torah, right? What is he talking about? Too acceptable to both. What is that, Cade?
That'd be people that are of the Torah. That'd be people that can actually decide what the issue are.
And what does the Torah command? That if we have disputes and we need things like this, at the behest of what?
2 witnesses.
Two or more witnesses, right?
If you try to prove yourself, it doesn't work. Take 2 people. If that doesn't work, take 3 people. After that, take them to the judges.
Yeah, and there's another thing here that I think is very interesting. I think we should discuss. It says no disagreement can be settled justly by blows. We know
about fighting.
Yeah, we know that a disagreement can be settled by blows, but we don't know so much that it can be settled justly.
If it turns into a fight, no one's gonna walk away happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody's going to walk away happy. That's for sure. That's definitely true. And if it does turn into a fight, nobody's going to walk away without some sort of damage. And so, this is the thing. We don't need hands on. We don't need loud voice. If we're bringing our decibels up to try to deal with a situation, then it has already gotten out of control. By the time that you guys have to yell, that means we have already done something wrong in between everything. And the guy that's yelling, that could be me, needs to check themselves in the mirror and see why it is that we're bringing words to loudness like this. 4, by the time YHWH had dealt with this matter, a crowd had gathered and someone in it called out, "Master, come with me to my brother and tell him that the estate left by our father should be shared with me." We've heard this before. YHWH called him forward and said, "I am a teacher. No man has given me the authority to decide such matters. When things are done properly, there is less likelihood of repercussions." What is he talking about, less likelihood of repercussions?
I think you're doing things of the Torah when you're doing things correctly. There's less punishment from Yah.
Yeah, when you're doing things properly, it's not as bad, right? And doing things properly, you're not going to do things properly if you are not in the Torah, if you are not Torah observant, if you don't love and keep these laws in your life as guide points, you're going to miss things. 6. Then YHWH turned to the gathering and said, "Take care always to guard against all kinds of greed and acquisitiveness, for no man's happiness can be assured by his possessions. In fact, much wealth is the father of sleepless nights." Yeah, here. You can definitely, when you have your money or lose your money or things of that sort, you will sit there and it will be sleepless nights. And so again, this is one of these things that if you want wealth, you need to be responsible enough. And yesterday, Messiah was talking about that wealth will lead most to destruction, and it is a test. And so we got to be very, very careful. 7, there was a certain rich man whose fields were fertile, yielding heavy crops. Seeing the bounty of the land, he decided there was insufficient space to store it and had his barns and storehouses pulled down so bigger ones could be erected. Into these he stacked everything until the new buildings were packed full. When this was completed, he relaxed, saying to himself, "Now I have ample laid up for all my future needs, and can eat, drink, and enjoy my good fortune." But that night he was called to his accounting in another life, and no part of his worldly goods could be taken. Now who benefited by all he had accumulated? This is how it is with those who accumulate worldly wealth, but remain spiritual paupers. Okay, this is interesting that Messiah talks about death as coming to accounting, right? It's like we are going to hit an auditor, and the second we are done, we have an auditor, and this auditor is going to place us either in the depths of Sheol, in a bad place, or in a place of contentment, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no middle ground. I don't think there's a place for the mediocre folks. It just says that there's one place or another. Now, the question that Messiah said, and let's answer this, who benefited by all he had accumulated? Because he was dead.
Probably his family, probably poor people, probably like people.
Probably not poor people, probably his family, and they may have been poor, but he went through his life, and we've heard this story before, right? The guy that tears down his grain things, and then that night his life was, had to be accounted. And so when we go to accounting, we need to be very, very ready for accounting day. Okay, YHWH then turned to 2 of the 12 who stood beside him and said, "This is why I tell you not to unduly concern yourselves with food and clothing. There is so much more to life than eating, and the body requires more than clothes. Look at the wild birds, which live happily from day to day, and learn from them. Have no doubts, my friends, for you are certainly heirs to glory, with an unassailable treasure house in heaven. All right, so we had our dogs break out. Now we're back. The last sentence of this I want to talk about real quick. This is words of Messiah. Listen, boys, gentlemen, everyone with me on this? People out there? Have no doubts, my friends, for you are certainly heirs to glory, with an unassailable treasure house in heaven. Okay, what does he mean by this? And how can we lose this unattainable treasure house in the Shamayim?
By not keeping the Torah, not believing in the Messiah.
Yeah, and these are the promises of Messiah right here, right? That there is a certainty, right? We have somebody who gives us this promise, that gives us this hope that there is a different place, a different way, a different kingdom. Now, if we had a creator that was horribly evil and horribly wicked, it would be one thing. But we have a creator that is all about goodness, hope, love, taking care of our neighbors, keeping my commandments, right? That is what he is about. There is no reason that we would not want to align ourselves with that kind of a hope, right? Your only other option is to align yourself with demons and devils who want you to have your best life now, and they're trying to steal your soul for a place that we're never ever going to be able to get it back. This is our one shot that we have right now. 9, be prepared for whatever comes. Your clothes fitting the occasion and your lamp lit, like servants awaiting the master's return from visiting, ready to open the door immediately. The master is gratified on finding his servants anticipating his arrival and does not fail to reward them. Thieves keep clear of houses where the owners have made provision for their coming, but go in search of those unguarded or where the occupants sleep. Therefore, always hold yourself in readiness, for you never know from day to day what will eventuate. Okay, this is talking more about the master of the house, right? It's talking about being ready and having our stuff ready. And if you're not ready, we've heard this before, if you're not ready, you're done. It's over. It's game over. There's not going to be a second chance on this. Our second chance is what we're living right now, and we can make this happen if we apply ourselves to the Torah and Messiah. 10, Kepha said, Master, is this meant for us, or does it apply to everyone? Yahushua answered, who does the master choose to fill a position of trust? Is it not the man who works diligently, though not under the eye of the master? I can assure you this is the man who will be promoted. If, however, the man in whom trust is vested thinks, I am not being observed by the master, and gets drunk or is careless about what is done, be sure the master will catch him out.
I appreciate the explanatory, but it's like if you're a worker and you say, if you work good when the master's not around, but if you only work when the master's around, like when he's watching, you like to work to impress him. But when he leaves, you just slack off, you get drunk, you start being careless. Then the master's gonna come back when you don't realize it, and you're gonna be fired.
Yeah, and this example is very, very, it's very precise because the world lives like this. The time the boss leaves, and the thing is, Nicole and I, we have been self-employed for 30 years, all of our lives, 20-some years. And we have always been the boss. Unfortunately, we are the bosses, but we are the boss. And the one thing that you can nearly always count on is that the second you leave, the dynamic always changes, right? The jokes come out, the people relax, everybody's a little bit lax. When the boss is there, everybody's clinging, everybody's dorking, everybody's doing this stuff. That's just how the world is. Now, if we are like this with our spirituality, if we are only doing, if we say we go to church on a Sunday and you put on your little suit and you're a good guy for 2 hours of the day, but yet you're a Torah-less criminal the rest of the week, that's not it. That's what it's talking about. And yes, under the eyes of a boss or a preacher or somebody that you're going to try to act like a saint. You're going to look like you don't normally look. And this is where we need to be complete. We need to be 100% right with our Creator, and we can't go into sin and come back and go into sin and come back, go into sin and come back and just keep rolling at it. It doesn't work like this. 12. Any servant who knows what to do but fails to do it should not go unchastised. But those who do not know what is expected of them cannot be justly criticized. From the man who is given much responsibility, much will be expected. For the greater the trust placed in a man, the greater should be the return. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
And, if you're a made man, if somebody trusts you, if you're the head of the household, if you are the first in line, you got to be the made man. You got to take care of stuff. 13, a man in the crowd said to Yahushua, we have heard of your teachings and that you herald the rule of Elohim. Tell us about this. Yahushua said, there is the kingdom of the Ruach and the kingdom of the flesh. Yahuwah rules the first himself, but the second he rules through his viceroy, man. But man tries to set himself up as an independent ruler, making his own laws and setting aside those of his sovereign. When the viceroy ceases to rebel and governs in accord with the decrees of the sovereign, that will be the rule of Elohim. Okay, what did he just say?
He said basically Yahuwah rules heaven or the spirit realm.
Yep.
And then earth he lets man have a little reign over.
Yeah.
But he said, but basically he's in charge of us still, even though he lets us reign over. But man will try to rebel and act like they have no king and nobody to talk to, nobody to rule over them.
Right. And so if we are looking for when will be the rule of the Elohim, it is when people are in sync with the Torah. That is when we know that the rule of Elohim is here. You can look out in the world right now and it's completely destroyed, and not very, very few people keep Torah. Very few people care about what Yah has to say. 15. The man said, this teaching is beyond our understanding. We have the Torah, which come from the mouthpieces of Elohim. Yahushua said, of course you have the Torah, but it is either disobeyed, ignored, or circumvented. Therefore, it is nullified and rendered ineffective. All right. Do the Christians, when they eat their pork, is it disobeyed, ignored, or circumvented?
I think
Disobeyed.
I think all three.
Yeah. Well, they think.
They don't listen to it. They ignore it. So I mean, there's basically when you ignore it, you're basically disobeying as well. Like.
Well, that's the thing is the Christians. If you are just a standard everyday Christian and never read your scriptures, you won't know you're disobeying it because you listen to a guy in a pulpit who's telling you to eat your pork and do all this thing. So I don't know if it's disobeyed so much as ignored because they are out of the Torah. And being circumvented means we just get around it or something of the sort. We just have pork light, right? Oh, we didn't eat pork. We ate pork-free swine. Oh, okay. Okay, 17. I have come to gather the lost sheep, bringing them back into the fold, which is the will of Yahuwah. I have come to cleanse the earth with purifying fire. But though I have struck the sparks, the tinder is not yet ignited. I travel a stony road, but the greatest ordeal lies ahead. You may think in your hearts that I come to bring peace to the earth and concord among men, and this is true, for such will be under the rule of Elohim. However, before this comes about, those who oppose it must be defeated. Therefore, I come to arm those who are loyal to the cause, to put a sword into the hands of men and stinging words on the tongues of women. Henceforth, families will be divided against themselves, and brother will be separated from brother, and father set against son. All right, what do we make of this, folks? We've heard this before.
Yeah, we've heard before how he's not here to bring peace, but to separate people and divide them to kind of weed out the garden to show who is good, who's bad, people who would come forth and listen to his words.
Why would that be? Why is their father against son? Why are you guys against me?
That would be for the Torah. There'd be like a fighting for the thing, like with families as that happens when you come into the Torah in this world. People don't see you as family. They see you as crazy now. They see you, oh, you changed your life or you changed things. Why don't you come back to the pork and sinful life we all live?
Yeah, come back to Christmas. Come hang out with us. There's an Easter bunny that's going to come by and put chocolate eggs out there for you. You can come hunt them out and we'll all hang out together. Okay, some in the crowd said among themselves, these words we can understand. Truly, this is the one promised who will deliver us from our oppressors. Yahushua said, bide your time and all things will be made clear. A scribe in the crowd said, it seems you speak with hidden meanings. How are we to interpret these teachings? Yahushua said, you are so accustomed to devious thinking, trying to make a yes into a no to suit your convenience, that when given truth, you pull it apart, seeking to find something else behind it. Unless you accept these things as would a child, you cannot hope to enter the kingdom of Yahuwah. Okay?
It's the same thing we have today. Nothing's changed in 2,000 years. You're always trying to make a yes into an always trying to make breaking the Torah okay.
Yeah, is eating pig okay? Yes, Jesus made all food clean. Yes, eat our pig. Right? That is it. That is a lie, obviously, but that's what the world looks at. 23. When you see clouds coming in from the west, you say, soon there will be rain. And this forecast proves to be correct. When the south wind blows, you say, it will be extremely hot. And again, your prediction is right. What hypocrite you are, so quick to interpret some signs while closing your eyes to others, less to your liking. You can interpret the omens in earth and sky, but close your eyes to those indicating present trends. What is the present trend that he has? What is it?
It's Toralessness, what's going on, like him being there.
Yeah.
Like, you understand, like he's this guy standing there, they're standing in front of the Messiah, and he's like, he just doesn't get it, right? These scribes were the people who like read the Bible back and front, right? The prophets, the Torah, supposed to know it all back and front, supposed to understand every single prophecy. Yet they have no idea that the Messiah is standing right there.
Yeah. Do you guys think that when he said this, because we've heard this before, right? He says he's talked to the Pharisees before, and he says like when you see red in the evening, you know it's there's going to be storm. Is this another set of people, or do you think this was the same people and they just rewrote what he said?
I think this is like you said. I think it's the same thing. I think this is what he's talking about before. He goes, write it to people's understandings, and so it's not always going to be the same. Put it right, say it as you get the point across.
Yeah.
We don't know who wrote this one. I assume it's going to be someone besides the four that we already have known.
Yeah, and Messiah, as much as he's talking to people, he probably reuses these parables a lot and tries to get people to figure them out. Okay, 24. Someone in the crowd said, we have failings of men. Should we be condemned for these? Yahushua replied, as sons of Yahuwah, you inherit his substance and are heirs to glory. Think less of earthly weaknesses and more of godly strength. Wow.
So basically, he's saying to be strong. Don't give into
earthly weaknesses, right? As men, we are men and women. We get hot, we get cold, we get hungry, we get tired, things of that nature. And there's the people that are into pornography, right? That is a weakness, right? That is a complete weakness. That is a weakness of the soul that will hurt you very, very badly. And so we need to think less about these kind of weaknesses and more of spiritual stuff. Are we in the Torah? Do we understand the Torah? Do we have the Messiah? Do we understand the words of the Messiah? Are we living that life? Are we looking like people of the kingdom, or do we look just like everybody else? Okay, 26. Another in the crowd asked Yahushua about unjustified suffering, and might not his cause bring this upon the heads of his followers? Someone else said, what about the Galileans who died in resisting the efforts of Pilate to appropriate the temple offering so he could bring water to the city of Jerusalem? Yahushua said, the Galileans and the governor did right in their own eyes, the former seeking to serve Yahuwah or Elohim, and the latter men. But these things are not matters to be placed at issue, for whoever serves one serves the other, and there is no clash of interests. Can you believe that the Galileans who suffered as they did were worse than others in Galilee? This is not so. They suffered for no wrongdoing, but through misguidance. All right, this is a huge thing right here. A lot of times we're like, oh man, everything is going wrong. We've done everything in our lives are wrong. Why are we being cursed? Why are these curses completely coming up on us? And it is clear that it could be our own misguidance, right? It could be something that we did that we are suffering for, right? We decide we're going to nail a board up, and we put our finger there and we smash our finger. Did our Creator do this to us? Are we doomed? Have we been cursed to have a black finger because of our Creator? Or did we simply not observe where we were trying to hit and we hit our finger, right? It's misguidance. We did something wrong. And so the suffering is a lot of times on our own head. It has nothing to do with if we are being cursed. 28. Calamity strikes capriciously. I think I got that word right. Do you think those who died when the tower fell on them in Shalom deserve death more than the others? Life is full of uncertainties, so men must be made aware of the need for repentance. Knowing the day of assessment may be near or far. Be sure of one thing. There will be no discrimination among you on the assessment day. All will get their fitting reward. That's scary. Ooh. Well, are we going to be ready for assessment day, folks? Are we going to be that person who makes it? Or are we going to be that person that gets rejected and denied? And it says, all will get their fitting reward. And I believe everything that comes out of the words of Messiah, I believe this is all true. Anyone have anything on this? You guys ready for assessment day?
Not really. I mean, we talked about before that when the people stand before me, either says depart from me or he entered you in.
Right. And so assessment day is going to be hardcore. Then one in the crowd shouted, "Tell us about the kingdom of heaven. For surely if we are going there, it is well to know what it is like." YHWH said, "If you were going to a distant city, which would be most beneficial? A description of it or details concerning the route? Then too, is it not important to prepare for your reception? For if a man residing in a place describe the place, this serves no purpose to one who will have to beg for scraps and sleep in the gutters." That's hardcore. That just essentially said people will be denied entry into the kingdom, right? If you're sitting there begging for scraps, sleeping in gutters when you're trying to make the kingdom, it doesn't matter what the kingdom is like because you didn't make it, right? You did not make that kingdom. So it may be pearly gates, it might be streets of gold, it might be all of this stuff, but you're not going to get to see it. And so it doesn't matter anything about the description of it. It doesn't matter that we as humans don't really understand what the kingdom is going to be like or any of that sort. It matters that we are striving to get that kingdom. We need to at least be accepted in that kingdom, and none of the description of it matters at all. Okay, 31. The road to heaven may be likened to 10 young women who, taking lamps, went out to meet a bridegroom, 5 being irresponsible and 5 reliable by nature. The irresponsible ones left everything to the last minute and snatched up their lamps, forgetting the oil containers were not filled. Because the bridegroom was delayed, all the young women lay down to sleep. But at midnight there was a shout to say the bridegroom was coming and to go out and to meet him. The young women all arose and trimmed their lamps, but the irresponsible ones, finding theirs going out, said to the others, "Let us have some of your oil, for we forgot to fill the containers." The others replied, "We cannot do this, for we do not have enough oil for all. And if we share with you, there will be insufficient to light the way. It is better we provide light all the way with 5 lamps than we provide light for just a short distance." So this is a little bit different than we've heard on this, right? We've heard about the virgins, right? The marriage of the virgins, and we've heard about them missing this. But the one thing I thought that was interesting is that they explained a little bit why they wouldn't share their oil, right? Because they're going to lose the light along the way. And so that is obviously why you wouldn't share your oil. Even though there's a bunch of them, a group of them, one light, you think they could all wander around together. That's not the point. The light is our souls, and keeping that lit is that we're able to get that where it needs to go. Okay, 33. The irresponsible ones hastened to the oil vendor, but he would not serve them. And while they were away, the bridegroom arrived. And those who were ready lighted his way and joined the guests at the wedding, the doors then being closed. Later, when the irresponsible ones returned and stood outside shouting to be let in, the doorkeeper said, "Who are you? What purpose do you serve? Go away. Therefore, I say to you, be always alert, your spiritual lamps trimmed and filled with the oil, which gives eternal light. For you never know the hour when you will be called." Okay, that's it. You never know the hour when you will be called. And if you are unready, we have Messiah telling us over and over and over that those not ready will not make the wedding party. They will not make it. We don't know when Messiah is coming back. We do not know when there will be a second Exodus. We have no idea what in the world, what is going to take place. But we do know that we are called to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of our Creator. We are told that we should keep them for all generations, that our kids should have them, we should rise to them, we should sleep to them. It should be everything in our life. Everything that we have should be based upon the Torah. When you find that Torah, then you find the love of the Messiah, who is our Melchizedek priest, who will come and will save us from all of this. So guys, please, you never know when the hour is that you will be called. Have a good day.
All right, Shalom.